Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to PBTV. We're live on YouTube and Facebook today as well, instead of yesterday. So we've brought out the KRYTAC LMG today. We've just had a massive amount of KRYTAC turn up. So if you've got any questions on KRYTAC at all, please drop them down below. We will get to you as soon as we can. But we thought we'd bring the big beast out today to have a look at it, and obviously I've brought some of the Watson parts out as well, just to show that they work on different things. We had them on a M4 last time, but today we're going on something a bit different, obviously showing that it works on Keymod. Loads of really cool features on this, so if you do have any questions on the LMG or KRYTAC in general, whether or not it's the Vector or the Warsport, please drop them down below and we will try to get to you as quickly as possible. As always, apart from that, I will start at the front and work my way back. So as you can see, I have put a device on the front of this. It does have a flash hider on there as normal, but I'm just showing that you can fit the KRYTAC specific front end. So this is for the Vector, but it is just a 14mm thread, so you can just throw it straight on. Please be aware that the gas block key underneath there does need removing. You take that off, put the attachment on, and then screw that back on at the same time. Again, we've got some other bits that we can look at to make this a little bit different and very, very cool. Coming back from that, we do have a very, very small piece of Riz here. So this can be for a laser, some pop-up iron sights or anything like that if you wanted to put some irons at the front here. But it is just mainly there to have a little bit of an attachment at the front that is not Keymod. So if you want to put a 45-degree mount or something, and you can even put a torch on there quite easily and have it jut forward. Because as you can see, with the torch mount that we've done here, the torch doesn't quite get past the front attachment. That means you are going to be casting a shadow over to one side, and it can hide people, especially if you're playing CQB or anything like that. Coming back to the big, chunky KRYTAC rail. So it is Keymod on every single side. So we've got Keymod on the top, 2 bits of Keymod on the right and left, and Keymod all down the bottom as well. As you can see, the dual augmented switch that we showed off in the Watson brand showcase is quite easily fitting to a Keymod system. So out the box, it comes with a 20mm rail adapter, whereas this, you take the 2 screws out, put the relevant parts on, and it just mounts straight onto Keymod. Very, very nice and neat. Again, the 640 Scout torch that we've had as well, I've swapped it out with the specific adapter, and it mounts straight onto the Keymod. No extra rail sections, no extra bits. The very same setup that we have off the other stream, we've just mounted it onto a completely different rail system. And as you can see, you would be able to unscrew this slightly, rotate it 90 degrees, and put it straight in line with the torch as well. So if you were wanting to put a PEC box or anything on this, obviously with the debal and everything like that, you will need to add a bit of Riz. So coming back, we do have the so the rail itself is metal. And obviously you can, there's not really much that you can change with it. The KRYTAC is a proprietary rail system. So with you having Keymod on the top, right, left and bottom, that is what you are stuck with. There isn't actually a... Luke Jelly on Facebook, those dual pressure switch are awesome. Yes, if you're wanting a one-stop position for all the controls of every accessory you got, these things are just absolutely perfect. One button does the 2.5mm jack, the other button does the torch plug-in, and then the switch at the back is actually an on-off switch, so you can either press and hold, or you can just turn it on. Great option. If you wanted, again, as I was saying, if you wanted a laser or a PEC box on the other side, just for having some targeting options, you would have to probably put a little bit of Riz on there and mount that, and then the other cable that's coming out of the pressure pad could go into there. What I normally do is, if I'm not using one of them, you can just stuff the cable inside the rail, and it's out the way nice and safe, or get yourself some rubber bands and wrap it round. It's probably the easiest and quickest way to get some cable management, and it just keeps it nice and compact and neat. Nathan, is it compatible with standard M4 mags? I'm glad you asked, because I was about to come on to that. So, control-wise, we do have a standard M4 style mag release on this side. So if I drop the box mag out, this lower receiver will look very, very similar to pretty much any M4. So yes, you can stick standard M4 mags in this if you wish. it might look a little bit front heavy or a bit top heavy, but it is an option. Coming onto the mag itself, so this is a 3,500 round box mag. There's a little tab there that says open. Peel this side off and you literally pour BBs in here. This is obviously battery powered as well. As you can see at the bottom, you've got two options. You can physically wind it if your battery runs out or you just don't have any, or pressing this button with a 9-volt little square battery in there, and this thing feeds all day. If for whatever reason you start misfeeding because you've the BBs are running low, or you just need to press it a little bit more, there is a little lever here. And we were trying to figure out what this was, and one of the lads that owns one of these is basically when this is running a little bit low and you need to sort of, rather than sit there rattling your platform around, you can just flick that a couple of times. It juts the BBs around, and then pressing the button, it means you can feed the last few out of there. So with this feeding, it says it's 3,500 rounds. You're probably going to get, there's probably going to be like 20 left by the time that you're empty, when it can't, because obviously you need a minimum amount in this bit for it to actually force more up. Again, you can literally pop this open, pour BBs in. You don't have to take the mag out if you don't want. Pour more BBs in, slap this closed, and you're good to go again. But yes, you can by all means stick standard M4 mags in this, or even other high caps. 5 productions. Is this the same internals as the Trident? Yes, I wanted to be definitely sure about that, so I did ring our workshop before we went live with this. So this is the KRYTAC Trident LMG. So I was on about whether or not you could, I was just making sure if people wanted to fit Titans or Gate or anything like that. It is the same gearbox. It's not quite a version 2 gearbox. It is the KRYTAC version 2 gearbox. So if you're wanting to put a Titan in there, a MOSFET or anything like that, make sure it's done by a professional, because there is a little bit of milling that needs to be done. A Gate Titan will not drop straight into this, but it is possible. And again, same with triggers and things like that. All things that you are allowed to do and you can do, but it just needs a little bit more than a standard V2. So make sure if you are going to be doing anything like that, you get a professional to do it and get the correct tools to do it. So continuing with controls, we have a fire selector. So people that run LMGs as normal understand that normally it is accuracy by volume, and it is just pull the trigger and as many BBs as come out, come out. A positive about this one, based on the Stoner style platform, you do have a fire selector. The bonus about this is that if you run at a CQB site, or there is a combo site that has buildings and outdoors, so there are some sections that have full auto and some sections that are semi-auto only, this is a platform that will work for you. So if you go inside buildings, you're not then stuck drawing a sidearm or anything like that. You do have a semi-auto option. Again, make sure the mag's wound, and the same with full auto, you can just keep going, and this will actually empty your mag quite easily. Tested it just before going live, and this thing is sitting at about 340, 345 FPS. Really, really consistent. It fluctuated maybe half an FPS in probably about sort of 20 to 30 rounds, which I thought was very, very impressive. ODST, what's the weight and how well distributed is the weight? The KRYTAC on its own is about 3.7 kilos. As you can see, there is a lot of weight at the front. And if you've got 3,500 BBs in this box mag, it's going to weigh more. With the setup that I've done here, it's probably close to 5 kilos with the torch and all the different bits and bats. I did have a short dot on it earlier, just see how silly I could make it, and it was going over 5 kilos. I think with this, with the little dot sight, it might be a bit under, but you are looking at a very, very heavy platform, and most of it is going to be sat quite far forward, so your support arm is going to take a lot of that weight. So the upper receiver is a lot heavier than a standard M4. You've got a lot more rail up the front, and a lot more metalwork and barrel up the front, so she is going to be a lot more front heavy, but again, get yourself a grip, foregrip or anything like that just to support that weight, or get yourself a sling point, a sling, sorry. So we have 2 sling points at the back, one on the right, one on the left. Apart from that, you will have to then add any other sling point that you want if you want to get a key mod style one, if you're wanting to 2-point this. But again, with it being quite M4 platform-esque, a single point is quite appropriate with this. To get yourself a vert grip or something just to hold this thing tight whilst you're letting loose, and you'll have plenty of fun with it. Speaking of the top receiver, the rail section is fixed and part of it can't be removed. And as I was saying earlier, I threw a short dot and a canted sight and everything on this just to see how silly we could make it, and it looked very, very cool. If you want to check the Instagram stories out, you'll see it with that on it, and it looks absolutely crazy. The range on this thing can warrant a short dot, so if you are wanting to run something like that, by all means, don't let anyone dissuade you. With this kicking out that 340 FPS, it does have a 6.05 mil in a barrel, and it's about 280 mil in length. One of the guys in the office has run one of these outdoors, and he was saying it was sailing 2.8 BBs out way further than what his eyes could see. And he was running a dot sight, so having that magnification option is definitely something really good. But with it being an LMG and you're just sort of roughly putting BBs in an area, a small micro dot sight is perfectly acceptable. And one of these friends is really, really good because the dot is very, very fine. And it just means it's not going to hide too many targets that are a little bit further away. Coming to the right-hand side, the charging handle on this is actually back about here, and it does fold away, so you have to fold it down and pull it back. Behind that door, you will find a rotary-style hop unit. Again, the KRYTAC have gone with the better option. Once the gear ones are set, they sit in place and are really, really good. As I was saying, the guys that have run these in the field are saying that these things will perfectly hop 2.8 BBs, and it's probably the best efficient way of filling 3,500 rounds in there. What's the Hopup like? Paul Eastwood on Facebook. Just like that. So yes, it is a plastic rotary style hop. And again, it will probably hop higher than a 0.28, maybe 3s, maybe 3.2s. But if you're filling a box mag up with 3.2s, you're gonna feel that at the end of the day. So 2.8s are probably the most efficient way of filling this up. Bottle at a time, run out, come back, pour some more in. As I was saying, you don't have to take the magazine out to fill it. You can just pull the tab, the side comes off, pour some in, and throw it back on. Just be aware, if you are out in the field and you lose the side of your box mag, you're going to be a little bit upset. So make sure you're in a static location and you're not mid-fight when you're trying to do it. Draw a sidearm, finish what needs to be done, and then add some more BBs. So, coming back, we do have the KRYTAC style pistol grip. It's got some ridges on the bottom, just making it a little bit more comfortable, and the KRYTAC style trigger guard. Again, a lot of this is thought for aesthetics. KRYTAC put a lot of effort into the quality of the materials that they use, so the polymer that they're using for that, the metal and the aluminium, and the build quality on this is absolutely incredible, and that's just been proven by how popular KRYTAC is on the field. Reaper, how many sling points does she have? So on the back we've got one on the right, one on the left, and on the stock we have a couple back there, but your ones on the stock are going to be the most prominently used. So probably a 1-point sling with this onto the back of the sling point. But if you were wanting to add something to the front, so that rail section at the front there, by all means you could put one of the little rail loop sling loops on the front of that, and that would give you a very, very comfortable 2-point sling. So slinging it off the top, and then you could use the sling as a bit of a brace as well, have it come between the web of your hand and push forward. It will lock the platform into your shoulder and forward, and it will be a very, very a cool little setup. You can lift the upper receiver as well. There's a little control on the right-hand side, just so it has that real steel vibe. You can lift it up. You can't see the gearbox or anything because they've done it a little bit different. Coming back to the stock, so we have the standard KRYTAC nunchuck-style stock or crane stock. Pressing the button at the bottom, again, you have loads of different positions. I think it's a 6-position stock. Paul Eastwood, would you say KRYTAC are one of the best? Build quality, absolutely. And again, it comes down to what you want at the end of the day. Build quality, consistency, FPS, reliability, all them sort of buzzwords that people look at. Yes, they are absolutely worth what you're putting into them. Be aware, it is a standard AEG at the end of the day. There's no recoil, there's no bolt stop, there's no... there is a very, very small inline electronics in there, but there's no sort of MOSFET or anything like that. There's no programmability, but what you are getting from this is reliability, solid buildmanship, and the gearbox itself is so reinforced, it is probably going to last forever. I think if you could get the gearbox shell on its own, techs would absolutely eat that up and just want to build out of that. Yeah, these things will last forever, and there's just probably nothing you really need to do with it. As I was saying earlier, it's got a semi-tight ball barrel with the 6.05. It's a decent length, so it's 280mm. So sitting in that sort of decent M4 sort of assault length, but again, if you're putting something like this on the front, you could extend it out and put something slightly different in there. But this core beating heart at the center, I wouldn't really touch. It's just absolutely perfect as it is. ODST, is that a 20mm rail on the bottom of the end of the stock? Or is it just my imagination? This here, yes, it is a 20mm little wrist section. You may be asking why that is. Well, with this being an LMG and designed to be maybe a prone position static platform, sat on an OP waiting for a while or guarding a certain location, if you were to put a bipod on the front of this, it would sit back and you'd have to keep lifting it. You could probably fit a little tiny monopod on the front of this, so this would then sit perfectly flat, pointing in the direction you need it. Not having to put any weight or have to lift it all the time or support it yourself. It is sat roughly in a position that it needs to be all the time with a little monopod at the back. As I was saying, with this thing built up, and as we had it earlier, it was over 5 kilos. So if you're sat in a static position trying to hold that prone out, after a little while, it's going to become hard work, and you're going to know about it. So again, bipod on the front, little monopod at the back, and it just takes that little bit of weight off. It's a very old trick that used to be used way back in the day, but again, with heavier platforms, it is definitely worthwhile. So if there's anything else that we need to cover, please ask it down below. We've got loads of stuff that we could talk about on this, but again, if there's anything KRYTAC in general you want to know, please ask. If not, for those that have just been joining us, I'll do a quick flash through. So we were saying earlier that it does have a 14mm counterclockwise thread. I've taken the standard flash hider off and shown the little KRYS device that can be thrown on there. I was saying the gas block underneath, you will need to take that off to access the grub screw that is in that. Make sure that is fully out before you put that before you take the flash hider off, otherwise you're going to damage the threads. When you're putting it back on, then you will need to refit the gas block. And again, the gas block at the bottom is just for show, but there are threads underneath it, so you don't want them visible. CNC'd key mod handguard at the front. Again, some of the stuff that we showed in the Watson thing. Paul Eastwood, batteries. Yes, good point. So with the crane style stock at the back, you can fit a nice, neat nunchuck style battery in here. Quite a decent size one as well. These are Dean's wired now. So when KRYTAC first came out, I think they were Tamiya, but maybe 2-3 years ago they changed everything to Dean's, so it is a Dean's connector that you will need, but you have absolutely tons of battery space. With a 7.4 LiPo, everyone will say, can I use 11.1, can I do this? There's no need, you're sat at the perfect FPS, and again, an 11.1 could cause pre-engagement and damage the piston or the gears or anything. So 7.4 LiPo, you're going to get 13 to 14 rounds a second out of it at 340, 345 FPS. So you're going to have plenty of fun with it. The box mag needs a 9-volt little square battery, and it sits in the side in a little tray, the same side that you fill the BBs. So you peel the side panel off, stick that in, slide it back into place, and it's nice and neat in there and cushioned with some little bits of foam. But yes, you could quite easily stick a very large nunchuck 7.4 in there. Probably a 12 to 1400, anywhere in that region will be fine. All the construction on this, so we have a CNC key mod rail, so aluminium rail and metal receiver. The upper receiver's metal, the lower receiver's metal, the charging handle, buttons, absolutely everything. Controls. The only thing on this that is polymer, the plastic mag, the polymer pistol grip, the trigger guard, and the stock. Apart from that, this thing is a lot of metalwork. Have I played with this? I've never actually played with one of these. I have played with a KRYTAC before. I've played with a KRYTAC Trident, but never with the LMG. I'm very much thinking I should, because after even just testing it through the chrono, I really, really wanted one. But one of the guys in the office played at Proving Grounds with one of these, and he said it was probably one of the most enjoyable games he'd ever had. And he was just running 2.8s in it. He'd never done anything to it. And he was saying that the BBs, the hop system in this, and the magazine just kept feeding. No matter what he did, he could burn rounds downrange, and it just kept feeding. And it was sailing BBs off way further than his eyesight could see. And he was just running a dot sight. So he was very, very much enjoying this. So, as I was saying, we've got the CNC'd aluminium rail at the front, the metal receiver, and all that. So the magazine, we'll cover that again. So with it being the KRYTAC LMG, it will take standard M4 style mags, but the magazine itself that it comes with is 3,500 rounds. So 3,500 BBs in a box that you just simply take the side off and you can pour them in. Looking at the bottom, we have a normal windy wheel if you want to do it manually or if the battery dies. If not, there is a big red button. Pressing the red button, this thing will wind until it's absolutely empty, and the batteries in this do last a decent amount of time. There's another little lever here. So that is literally for doing that. It doesn't actually open anything. All it does is it rattles the BBs around inside if it's not feeding them up the tube properly or anything like that, or you're down to like your last 100, last 50, and they're not quite sat in the right place. Rather than having to shake the mag and get them all in the right place, just flick that a couple of times and it'll rattle the BBs. And remember, you're going to need a minimum amount for this thing to keep feeding. So even though you can see a BB at the top here, you might only have 20 left, so it's not going to feed anymore. Simply rip the side off and add some more. Just joined, so it made me ask already, but does it come in any other colours? No. To say that KRYTAC have black, tan, grey and green in all the other platforms, the KRYTAC LMG is black only. There's no tan version, there's no green version, there's no grey version, which is very, very strange from a brand that has quite a lot of colour options. The normal Trident, the LVOA, I think there's 4 colours, so there's black, tungsten or titanium, I think it is, tan and OD green. The Trident LMG is black only, so this is actually the only colour option that you can get. Nothing a little dust can't fix if you want to go for that sort of vibe. But yeah, really, really fun platform. I think if you ever get to try one of these on a field, I think it'll be a very, very fun experience for you. I mean, I've just thrown a little dot sight on there, but a little T1 and a magnifier or a short dot might look a little bit weird on an LMG, but as the guys that have used these on a field were saying, the magnification would help. With a dot sight, the BBs were flying way further than they could actually see. So if you had maybe a 2 to a 4 times or something like that, so you'd scan, this would be really, really cool. We have also been asked recently about other options for the front end. So we've just stuck a standard device on the front of this, but we have had a Firefly system on our website for a while, so we thought we'd bring this out as well. So people were asking how to put this together, etc. Obviously, a standard Rotex suppressor, when you take the front end off, what we have done is managed to fit a Spitfire tracer to it. All you need to do if you get this, take the tube out of the center, so take this off, take the tube out of the center, add the 12mm thread that comes with it, and then add the Spitfire tracer. What that means is that you have a system that is nice, neat, tidy, and ported at the front, so you are still going to get that flash effect and really cool vibe as you're spitting BBs downrange. And again, on an LMG, it's just going to be an absolute chunk of fun. So if that is everything for today, that has been the very, very beautiful KRYTAC LMG, the Trident LMG enhanced, with a few other bits and bats on it from Watson, just showing that they can fit onto other platforms. Love speaking to everyone, and again, thank you for all your questions. We will be back again tomorrow for another live stream. Actually, we're trying to fit quite a few in this week with Easter coming up. But as always, if you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified every time we go live. But if that's everything, I will catch you tomorrow. See you in a bit. Bye.